I hope you never lose your sense of wonder. You get your fill to eat, but you always keep that hunger. May you never take one single breath for granted. God forbid love ever leave you empty-handed. I hope you still feel small when you stand beside the ocean. Whenever one door closes, I hope one more opens. Promise me that you'll give faith a fighting chance. And when you get the choice to sit it out or dance, I hope you dance. I hope you dance. I hope you dance. I hope you dance. I hope you never fear those mountains in the distance. Never settle for the path of least resistance. Living might mean taking chances if they're worth taking. Loving might be a mistake, but it's worth making. Don't let some hell-bent heart leave you bitter. When you come close to selling out, just reconsider. Give the heavens more than a passing glance. And when you get the choice to sit it out or dance, I hope you dance. I hope you dance. I hope you dance. I hope you dance. I hope you dance.
Thank you. That was beautiful. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Sorry, I'll pick it up.
Welcome to First Unitarian Church of Cincinnati, where all are welcome, both those here in the sanctuary and those joining us online. My name is Julia Almager, and I am this morning's worship associate. Before we continue, though, I am especially pleased to welcome Les Tacey, our guest musician, and Steph Tacey, who will be lighting the chalice for us. First Unitarian Church is a place where you are free to be your true self. So please bring all of yourself, your questioning mind, your expansive heart, and your caring commitment to this beloved community, keeping in mind that our mission is to welcome all with love, to support learning and spiritual growth, to serve our wider community, and to work for justice, equity, and inclusion. Please make sure to read the announcements in today's order of service, where you can find important information regarding both accommodations and upcoming events. The poinsettias today are given by the Flower Committee in celebration of the holiday season and are offered as a gift to anyone who would like one at the end of today's service. Someone needs to care for these holiday plants, so it might as well be you. Before we begin the service, let's take a moment to wave to the people watching from home. Not sure they're seeing us yet. And rise there. And rise and greet our neighbors, or say hello in the chat. When you hear the singing bowl ring, please return to your seats. As Steph lights the chalice, I will read words from Jacob Trapp. To worship is to stand in awe under a heaven of stars, before a flower, a leaf in sunlight, or a grain of sand. To worship is to be silent, receptive, before a tree astir with the wind, or the passing shadow of a cloud. To worship is to work with dedication and with skill. It is to pause from work and listen to a strain of music. To worship is to sing with the singing beauty of the earth. It is to listen through a storm to the still, small voice within. Our first hymn this morning is number 38 in the gray hymnal, Morning Has Broken. Please rise as you are willing and able. Now it is time for our message for all ages. This morning, June Schlipp has a message for us.
Well, when I first set up this service, I understood that the kids were going to be here. But we can do the message for all ages, for the adults of all ages. And I'm going to show pictures, as I always do, and you can respond as you feel inspired. First photo. Do you know what ephemeral means? That was in the title of the service. Anybody want to answer? Roland.
It's a daily event, things that occur day after day, or observation of.
Okay, something that goes from day to day or is very short-lived, is temporary, lasts for a very short time. Now, if you look at that picture, which I took in my yard, what do you see? A walrus? A wall lizard, thank you. Yes, it's not a walrus, it is a wall lizard. And it's on my vegetation. Do you think it's ephemeral? Yes, it's not going to stay there very long. I had to hurry with my camera to get it before it decided to run under the vegetation. So we could see that view of the lizard, yes, is ephemeral because he's not going to stay there long. Okay, next picture. Thank you, Tim. Okay. One ephemeral thing is light and dark, shadows, amount of light, reflections, sun shining through other things. What do you see in this picture? It is shadows of a tree on a wall, which is our neighbor's wall, but this is from our side, and it's the west side of the wall. What is going to happen as the sun sets? The shadow is going to change. It's no longer going to be exactly like that. It's going to eventually disappear as the sun gets all the way down. Next picture. Okay. Here is our current cat. Next picture. Does this look like the same cat? It actually is the same cat. But she had so many snarls and is getting old and has cancer and has had for several years now, and unable to groom the way she usually does. And so we took her to the groomer, who managed to shave most of her. So it is the same cat. She's not in the same position. She doesn't have the same hair. Is hair ephemeral? It seems to be, yes. Okay, now we've got 3 pictures. I'm going to start with one. This is a carving that John did, and it's supposed to be a plant with leaves and flower, and I think he said it was a thistle, right? Okay. Okay, so look at it carefully, and then look at the next picture. This is a part of that carving. And this time, when I took this picture, there was sun shining through the prism in our front door onto the picture of onto the carving, which was hanging in the stairway. So that carving is ephemeral, and certainly the sunlight coming on it is. One more picture. Okay, here is a more close-up, and actually it was a different day. What does this look like now? Does it look like a leaf? Does it look like an animal with a long snout and eyes? So you never know what you're going to see when you look closely. And as you, some of you know, I tend to look very closely at my yard, and in this case, at the carvings inside the house. Okay, next picture. You also know I tend to find faces in all kinds of places. This one is a Triceratops flower, and I thought it looked like a giraffe head. You may or may not agree, but that's how it struck me. One more. Okay, what does that look like? Yes. I'm sorry, I can't hear. Christmas tree? That's what I was hoping it would look like. What it actually is a rake a big rake with snow on it. That is like, we went out one morning not too long ago, and here was this little bit of snow, and here was the rake still sitting there. It was a Christmas tree. So that was a new thing to look at. Okay, so I have one wonder question to go with this. What other examples of ephemeral things can you think of or find? And you don't have to answer, but you can think about that, because I'm going to talk a lot about ephemeral things in the rest of this. Okay, then we are going to have a meditation hymn, which follows up on Christmas and winter, and it will be followed by a time of silent meditation. So you can stand or not as you feel inclined. Hymn number 55, Dark of Winter, in the gray hymnal. And rise if you want. It's nice to have people standing, and you will hear a little bit more about the singing later on. Dark of winter, soft and still, your quiet calm surrounds me. Let my thoughts go where they will, ease my mind profoundly, and then my soul will sing a song, a blessed song of love eternal. Gentle Lord, be soft and still, bring your quiet to me. Soothe my weary hours alone more dearly, and my heart with sorrows confident caress me, and then my soul may hear a voice, a still small voice of love eternal. Darkness, when my fears arise, let your peace flow through me. Silent. This is indeed a time to celebrate winter. It is a time for reflecting after the flurry of the holidays, and a time to rest and feel the peace of darkness. and a voice of love eternal. Our weather is so changeable. Some of us may have trouble recalling what winter can look like. And of course, I just happen to have pictures to help us remember winter and winters we have had. As you watch them, remember the coming and going of cold and snow, the forms of precipitation, rain, dew, frost, snow, the result of wind and clouds. Remind yourself how these appear and then disappear again. Weather is also ephemeral. Car window. Tall grass with snow. Next. Goldenrod. Oops, we missed that one. Okay, that was goldenrod. There's the goldenrod with the snow. And then there are tree branches with more snow. And then there is the winter when we had the big slabs of snow on our porch that had ice all over them and came as a whole big chunk. And then there was this year when there were tiny balls of snow that came on top of flakes of snow. And there were the ginkgo leaves with melting snow on them. And finally, last year, I think, with a daffodil with snow on it. That was the spring part of the snow. And since I can't resist, a final note about winter and Santa Claus. Something I read. My sister-in-law as a child sang, "I saw Mama kissing Santa Claus under the middle toe last night." Very strange image. Okay, now we switch to anticipation of spring. It truly will come, and with it come ephemerals of many kinds, including butterflies. Thoughts for this sermon began with an article by Dana Milbank, one of my favorite columnists for the Washington Post. Dutchman's Breeches, this tiny flower, teaches us all we need to know about growing old. Milbank comments about how much he has enjoyed flowers in the spring, including the imported ones, such as tulips, and those bred for large size and bright colors. Then he had a walk through the woods with the head botanist of Shenandoah National Park. Now, he says, what I had been watching all those years was spring as humans made it. This year, I'm experiencing spring as God made it. Then later he says, "This year, I've instead been walking in the still, bare forest and looking for Dutchman's breeches." Is that Dutchman's breeches? I'll get to that. He then explains that he's not actually looking for pantaloons. He describes the flowers and notes that this plant is one of those considered spring ephemerals, which grow up, bloom, and die back during a short time of weeks in early spring. His guide said, quote, "Don't be so focused on your destination or you'll miss the good stuff. Look around. Slow down." Milbank says, "You won't spot spring ephemerals from your car window with an ooh and an ah. To find them, you have to go on a treasure hunt in the woods." He said forest, sorry. Their flowers can be tiny, sometimes just a millimeter or two. And you could easily miss them if you don't look carefully. In our Clifton yard, when we look carefully, we have found quite a number of ephemeral plants. Weeds, wildflowers. In the Baldo comic strip, Sister Gracie says, "Even weeds need love." We have snowdrops, trout lilies, and stars of Bethlehem. There are also wood sorrel, fleabane, creeping Charlie, and white violets. We've found Queen Anne's lace and ragweed. We also have lots of asters and goldenrod, which are not spring ephemerals. In my parents' yard where I grew up, we had Dutchman's breeches and Jack in the Pulpit. At the time, I had no idea how I would come to appreciate them. I must also acknowledge that I am privileged to be able to use my own yard to make photos of interesting things. Not everyone has a yard of their own full of plants and the time to spend looking for interesting views of plants, animals, and clouds. Encyclopedia.com describes other types of ephemeral living things. This reference concentrates on desert annual plants, which have seeds which may wait years for enough rain to fall for them to be able to sprout. Then the tiny insects of the area come to feed on the plants, reproduce very quickly, and leave eggs to wait for the next time of rain. There are also desert perennials, which are dormant for many years, what may be years, until the next rain allows them to grow and bloom. In connection with these ephemeral plants, there may even be larger ephemeral animals. There is mention of the spadefoot toad, which needs only 8 days to grow and breed. These eat, quote, short-lived brine shrimp, which in turn consume algae and plants that live as long as water on soil, or soil moisture, lasts. Eggs, or sometimes the larvae of these animals, then remain in the soil until the next moisture event. Living can be very complicated. Now, back to Dana Milbank and his thoughts about Dutchman's breeches. He said, "As I grow older, it becomes clearer to me with each birthday that we are all spring ephemerals. We are here for a short time. We sprout, we flower, we go to seed, we disappear. What do we do during this short time? During their time, Dutchman's breeches thrive in the sunshine under trees which have not yet leafed out. They provide food to early pollinators. They can create colonies that may need 100 years to develop. What do we do? This is something to ponder. How do we want our lives to look? Are we providing support to others, to people, to animals, to plants, to the whole earth? How will our short lives be purposeful? Do we create our own beauty and see it around us? I hope you never lose your sense of wonder. I hope you still feel small when you stand beside the ocean. I hope you dance. Oh, this is up there. Okay, sorry. I hope you dance. While you are thinking about this, I will show another slide. This is that larkspur, which is on the cover of your order of service. There we go. You may have wondered why a larkspur was on the cover of a service about Dutchman's breeches. Here is what happened. A recent hike was what was called a spring wildflower hike. This picture was the only one I took that day, on what turned out to be the spring wildflower fall. After 3 inches of rain had left the ground soggy and the clay soil extremely slippery, the beginning of the trail was very steep, like this. And I fell twice, finally wrenching my shoulder so badly that a nurse who was hiking with us came to check to make sure that it did not seem to be broken. By that time, I was ready to hobble back to the car, to collapse for the ride home. Thankful that John was there to do the driving. I don't recommend this kind of hike, but spring ephemeral flowers can indeed be lovely, and I was sorry to miss the rest of the hike. I hope you dance. As I was learning more about ephemeral flowers, I came across the term ephemeral art. This concept was not entirely new to me, but the term was. Have you seen one of the Cincinnati Blink events? That is definitely ephemeral and consists of several types of art. You might also have seen stacked rocks, beach drawings, sand castles, or ice sculptures. A university in Sydney, Australia celebrates ephemeral art under a large tulip tree. A professor there said, "The raw materials for the installations in the garden are the fallen leaves." This ephemeral art is now something of a tradition, with different installations in the courtyard appearing every year for at least the last decade. As in this case, ephemeral art is often made of natural items created outside, where the artwork will naturally erode or blow away. What is the point of ephemeral art? Some possibilities. Miriam Beloglowski comments that although ancient cultures often made temporary works for important ceremonies, ephemeral art can also be used as a teaching tool for children, for exploring concepts of impermanence and creativity and the transient nature of life, end quote. Did you know that sand castles, sidewalk chalk drawings, and snowmen could help with this learning? This author also notes, ephemeral play roots children in the present moment. It's a mindfulness practice that encourages them to savor the here and now. The knowledge that their creations are temporary makes the process even more precious, fostering a sense of joy in the act of creation itself. If you happen to have heard of Tibetan sand mandalas, you may think of them here. I was pleased to find the procedure and purpose explained by the Minneapolis Institute of Art. On last September 14th, they were to welcome Buddhist nuns to create a sand mandala. Quote, "The creation and destruction of a sand mandala is a deeply spiritual practice, symbolizing the impermanence of all things. The ritual includes dance and prayer chants, which purify the site for the mandala. The nuns will begin placing individual grains of colored sand using tubes, funnels, and scrapers. The process will take 5 days, resulting in an elaborate geometric pattern filled with sacred symbols. During the creation, the nuns will bless the grains of sand, which will imbue them with spiritual energy. The destruction of a sand mandala is known as the dissolution ceremony. The ceremony begins with one of the nuns scraping a knuckle through the sand, creating a cross of gray sand. Next, the nuns will sweep the sand toward the center. Until it is a small gray pile. This sweeping represents the impermanence of everything in the universe. The sand will then be collected in a jar and transported to the Mississippi River. We're talking about Minneapolis, after all, where it will be released into nature. It is believed that the dissolution disperses the healing energies of the mandala into the water and throughout the world. The world and its ephemeral creations and creators are indeed beautiful and awe-inspiring. Look around. Slow down. I hope you dance. There are other things which are ephemeral. Plants show new shoots, leaves, buds, blossoms, seeds, or spreading roots. They die back and become part of the earth. Animals not only move from place to place like the lizard after they are born or hatched. They grow and change shape and ability. They may make connections with humans or not. They may mate and have offspring. They get old and die, and become part of the earth. We do the same. We move from place to place. We are born, grow, and change shape and ability. We may mate and have offspring. We get old and die, and become part of the earth. But we have choices to consider about how to leave the world and society when we die. Many of us believe that we will live on after death in the memories of those around us, and also in the ways we have brought increased well-being to our own small parts of the world. This leads to another aspect of ephemeral art. In addition to the peacemaking and resource sharing we may feel the need to do, there are the artistic activities which can also better the world around us. Music, dance, theater, all are considered ephemeral art, although we may use photographs and recordings to make them longer lasting. Music is a way many of us experience ephemeral art. Even people with very little hearing can feel a strong beat with their bodies. Music, and also dance, has long been associated with a connection to the inner spirit, or God. Joey Weisenberg wrote an article titled, "Why Music is Fundamental to Jewish Prayer." published in a newsletter called My Jewish Learning. He says, music is the most immaterial and ephemeral of all the art forms. We can't see music. We can't grasp it in our hands, but we can feel it working through us and the world. As such, music represents our connection to the divine, to each other, to everything. Music is a wordless prayer that opens up our imaginations to the divine source of all life. To be a musician, then, is to be an activist of the spirit. But the music doesn't do this on its own. It requires us to react to the music, to open up, to change along with it. We must allow the sound of our singing to awaken us, to bring us to positive action, to let song help us to do our work in the world with sensitivity and grace. This can be one way to bring not only beauty and joy to our lives and those around us, but to focus on the ways in which we are called to use our lives to bring goodness to the world. You will have noticed that I love to focus my attention on the intricacies of things around me. There will be a time now for you to see some photos of things which caught my attention, relating to plants and other things which are ephemeral. Here there are many native plants: Trillium, Blue-Eyed Mary, Jack in the Pulpit, Snowdrop, Star of Bethlehem, Yellow Violets, Trout Lilies, Fleabane, White Violets, Sweet Woodruff, Wood Sorrel, Lady's Thumb, Black-Eyed Susan, Daylily, Rose, Queen Anne's Lace, Tulip Tree. These include buds, flowers, wilting flowers, and seed heads. All of these are aspects of these plants which are, yes, ephemeral. Here are also photos showing the effects of changes in sunlight, wind, and water. Watch for the water at First Church. As well as patterns made by the leaves and petals which have fallen. These also are ephemeral. Finally, there will be the famous Dutchman's breeches. Yes, they do exist. They are lovely. And as Dana Milbank says in his guide, quote, Smith dare not travel this time of year for fear of missing a bloom. She said, you've got to grab it while it's here, she advised, because soon it will be gone. End of her quote. And Milbank says, it's a life lesson taught by the flowers of the forest floor. To accompany these photos and this life lesson, my husband John will be providing another kind of ephemeral music, on the Native American style flute. It seems especially fitting, knowing the care so many indigenous peoples take for the earth they share with all other beings. Thank you. The closing hymn is The Sweet June Days. We have one more hymn to close out this service, remembering the connection to the divine and each other through our singing. I would like to add this reminder: if you have a voice, you can sing. You may not have training and may worry about singing the right pitch or correct rhythm or sounding beautiful. But all we ask is that you lift the voice you have, letting the combined voices of the group allow the sound of our singing to awaken us, to bring us to positive action, to let song help us to do our work in the world with sensitivity and grace. With that in mind, I invite you to stand as you are able, lift your voice, and sing closing hymn, The Sweet June Day, number 65. And I will comment that I have never had occasion to use this hymn before. Isn't it a lovely name? And since you may find it unfamiliar, it does have a familiar tune, but the words may be unfamiliar. I will ask Les to play it through once before we start. Thank you all. It's nice to have all of you sing. We also, you may sit down, that's fine. We also have this blessing from the UUA. During this holiday season, may you find moments of rest and renewal. Whether you gather with loved ones, reflect in solitude, or engage in acts of kindness, may this time bring peace to your spirit and strength to your heart. Now, as Steph extinguishes the chalice, we will close with this reading from the Navajo. Beauty is before me, and beauty behind me. Above me and below me hovers the beautiful. I am surrounded by it. I am immersed in it. In my youth, I am aware of it, and in old age, I shall walk quietly the beautiful trail. In beauty it is begun, in beauty it is ended. Thanks again to Les and John for their music. In beauty it is begun, in beauty it is ended. Now let us join Les together sailing our vessels until the river runs dry, through rough waters, dancing with the tide.
You know a dream is like a river, ever changing as it flows, and a dreamer's just a vessel that must follow where it goes, trying to learn from what's behind, never knowing what's in store, makes each day a constant battle just to stay between the shores. And I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry, like a bird upon the wind. These waters are my sky, I'll never reach my destination if I never try. So I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry. Too many times we stand aside and let the water slip away, till we put off till tomorrow what has now become today. So don't you sit upon the shoreline and say you're satisfied. Choose to chance the rapids and dare to dance the tide. And I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry, like a bird upon the wing. These waters are my sky, I'll never reach my destination if I never try. So I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry. And there's bound to be rough waters, and I know I'll take some falls, but with the good Lord as my captain, I can make it through them all. And I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry, like a bird upon the wind. These waters are my sky, I'll never reach my destination if I never try. So I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry. Yes, I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry, till the river runs dry.